Many anxiety and OCD themes have core fears that link them all. We're going to talk about how to discover yours. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels. I'm a therapist and I make videos for people with anxiety or OCD. And today I want to talk to you about core fears. And this is going to help you in quite a few different ways. It's going to make you realize that you don't have a million different problems. You have a couple in different categories. And it's also going to help you tackle these in a much more precise way. But before we get started, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified, because I make new videos every Thursday. Okay, let's talk about this core fear or core feeling. Now, I did make a YouTube video last week or very recently about how it doesn't matter what your theme is, right? Don't get hung up on that. So it might be weird that I'm making now a new video that says how to find your core fear. Let me explain. We don't want to get so hung up on our core fear because there are names for them, right? So I might have separation anxiety, or I might have emetophobia, the fear of throw up, or I might have contamination OCD, or I might have moral OCD. We have names for these themes or these core fears, and that can be helpful. And I'll talk to you about how that's helpful in a minute. But also it can be unhelpful. And the part that's unhelpful is that people get stuck in their little box and they say, I have moral OCD, so I need to learn how to tackle this core fear. I have this core fear, so I need to know how to tackle that. And the truth is, once you know how to tackle anxiety, you have a foundation of how you tackle anxiety. That's how you approach all your anxiety fears. It is the same with OCD. Once you know how to handle any OCD thing, any OCD intrusive thought or feeling, and any compulsions that you're doing, mental or physical, then it's plug and play, right? It's like replace those. The foundation stays the same, right? It's just like if you know how to ride a bike, it doesn't matter what bike you're going to ride, what color it is, you're still going to ride the bike in the way that you ride the bike. The same thing with OCD and anxiety. And so if you want to watch that video, we'll link it so that you can watch that and look at the foundation of how you're going to handle this. Now, having said that, the benefits of knowing your core fear are a couple of things. One, it's kind of nice to know that you don't have 500,000 different intrusive thoughts or feelings or anxieties. You have one or two or three core fears or themes. And that way you have folders that you can categorize. You could say, I have social anxiety, or I have separation anxiety, or I have symmetry OCD, I have just right OCD. And that helps. I mean, OCD is OCD and anxiety is anxiety, but it helps because you have these folders and you don't feel like, well, I'm afraid to be away from my mom or dad, or I'm afraid to have things uneven, or I'm afraid that I might say a bad word, or I'm afraid that I might be a bad person. You can kind of put that in a folder and say, those all go in that theme. So it can make you feel a little bit more hopeful and not feel like OCD or anxiety is coming at me in all these different directions. And the minute I get rid of one fear or one discomfort, boop, another one pops up. It's like, no, it's all in the same folder, right? I'm dealing with the same octopus. It's just a different tentacle, and that's okay. So it can actually make you feel a little bit more hopeful. The other thing is it kind of makes it easy to search on YouTube or on Google for other people and other people who have had experiences similar to you. So if you know, hey, I think I have moral OCD. I worry that I'm a bad person. I didn't know there's a name for that. Well, I can Google it now and I can be like, whoa, look at all this stuff on the same type of intrusive thoughts that I have. That can help you feel like you're not alone. And the last one, and I actually think the most important one, is when you know your core fear or your core discomfort, and I'll tell you the difference in a minute, you can actually make really good exposures. So if I know that my core fear is when I'm reading, my intrusive thought is I'm not focusing, but my core fear is if I don't focus, I'm going to fail out of school. Well, I can make a much better exposure down the road of triggering that feeling and saying, oh my gosh, I'm not reading, maybe I'm going to fail out of school, and learn how to sit with that discomfort. And it's a very specific exposure because I know that my core fear comes down to maybe not graduating from school. or something like that. Or if I'm afraid to throw up, my core fear is that people are going to make fun of me. Versus somebody else who has that fear, they might worry about the discomfort, that it's going to hurt and then they'll never feel better. Two very different core fears, and you might do different types of challenges and exposures down the road to tackle those. Okay, does that make sense? So let's talk about how do you find your core fear. First of all, core fears don't have to be a worry. They could be a feeling. You could have a core fear that is just based on it's gross, it's disgusting, it makes me feel gross, or it makes me feel not right. It just doesn't feel right. So just right OCD is a feeling of it's just not right. Or if I'm focused on my bodily functions, I might think I may never stop focusing on my blinking or on my bladder or whatever that is. And so you can have a core feeling, but it's still fear, because the fear is, what if I can't handle this discomfort? What if it never goes away? So it's still a core fear, even though it is a feeling. I hope that makes sense. So you want to ask yourself, maybe write down all the different things, all your intrusive thoughts or feelings that you have, right? So take a piece of paper, maybe pause me if you want to do it together, that's fine. And then take a piece of paper and write down all that you can think of, the intrusive thoughts or feelings that you have that are OCD or anxiety. And it might be different for anxiety and OCD. So this might be looking a little different. So once you list them, start to ask yourself as you go through them, and I'm going to give you just a hypothetical, right? Just an example, but replace what I'm going to say with what you have on your list. So let's say for OCD, maybe I write down, I am worried that I might say a bad word. And I'm worried sometimes that I might have hurt someone else's feelings. And I'm worried that I might have scratched my mom's car. So as you go through those, you say, I'm worried I might have hurt someone's feelings. What's the worst thing that can happen if I hurt someone's feelings? And what does your OCD say? Well, my OCD whispers, you might be a bad person. Okay, so core fear, I might be a bad person, right? You may not get to the bottom of the core fear. So you might say, well, my OCD says I might have hurt their feelings. Okay, you're not at the bottom yet. What's the worst part that OCD says would happen if you hurt someone's feelings? Well, they say that they wouldn't talk to me again. Okay, what's the worst thing that can happen if someone doesn't talk to you again? And you're not thinking about your answer. You're thinking about OCD's answer. And so you might say, well, then they're going to hate me. What's the worst thing OCD says if they hate you? Well, it means that I'm a bad person. Okay, so we got I'm a bad person, right? If I'm a bad person, what's the worst thing? Well, it means that maybe I'm going to be all alone, and I'll be all alone, I'll die alone, and nobody will ever like me. So maybe my core fear is being alone. So now I'm going to go through the other ones. And what are those core fears? I'm worried I'm going to say a bad word. Then people are going to think I'm a bad person. If I'm a bad person, they're not going to want to be friends with me. If they don't be friends with me, I'm going to be alone. Oh, we're back down to that core fear again. I'm worried that I scratched my mom's car. Well, if I scratched her car, then she's going to get upset with me. If she gets upset with me, then maybe she wouldn't want me as a kid or as an adult. And if she doesn't want me as her child, then she's not going to talk to me. If she doesn't talk to me, I'm alone. Oh my gosh, we got I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone. See? That's the core fear, I'm alone. Going to be different for you probably, but I'm just giving you an example of how to do it. Let's talk about anxiety, because anxiety can be a little different, right? I'm worried that when I am, let's see, some of my anxious thoughts are, I'm worried that my mom might get in a car accident when I'm at school. I'm worried that maybe my mom slipped and fell when she's in the shower. I'm worried that when I'm not with my mom, I can't see her and I don't know what's happening to her. Okay, so let's go through them. So the first one, I forgot what I said. The first one is I'm worried maybe my mom got in a car accident. Well, what does anxiety say will happen if my mom got in a car accident? Well, I'm worried that she'll die. Okay, I'm worried my mom slipped in the shower. Well, what's the worst thing that can happen if she is, slipping in the shower? Well, I'm worried that she'd fall and then she would die. Okay, my mom's gonna die. My mom's gonna die. My mom's gonna die, right? So my core fear is I'm worried that my mom isn't safe and that something bad's gonna happen to her and that she might die if I'm not with her. If I'm with her, I can see her and I know she's okay. So that's my core fear. Core feeling. I'll just do one more just to show you a core feeling that's more in the OCD category again. I need to brush my teeth until it feels just right. And if I go to bed and it doesn't feel right, well, I might not be able to fall asleep because it may just not feel right. Maybe I need to wipe and wipe and wipe. And my core fear says, well, what if you don't wipe well enough? Now, there could be many different themes on this one. I'm going to just give you an example one that it feels like it just doesn't feel right. It just feels like I didn't get everything. You could have other fears related to that, but for this example, it just doesn't feel right. Or before I go to bed, I have to fix my pillows before I can go to sleep. And I have to do it over and over again until it just feels right. Well, what's the core fear? Well, I feel like I won't be able to go to sleep unless my pillows feel right. So I won't be able to handle the discomfort that will go with not having my pillows right, not feeling like I wiped enough, not feeling like I brushed my teeth till it felt just right. If it's not just right, then I won't be able to do the next thing I need to do in life because it just doesn't feel right. So my core fear is discomfort if it's not just right. Okay, does that make sense? Now let me tell you that just like an ice cream cone with a triple scoop, you might have 2 or 3 different ice cream flavors on your cone. You might have separation anxiety or fear of throw up or contamination OCD or moral OCD. And Google those if you don't know what they are. But you might have 3 different flavors of ice cream, but just know that we always eat ice cream the same way, one lick at a time. So regardless of what your core fear or core feeling is, you are going to tackle it in the exact same way, in the way that I've talked about in other videos. And in the video that I'm talking about with OCD, that's the foundation, right? But you're going to be able to put those in folders so you know you don't have a zillion issues. You've got maybe 2 or 3, maybe just 1. And you're also going to be able to spot those really quick because you're like, oh, that's about being a bad person again in that folder. Oh, that's about me worrying about my mom dying again in that folder, right? So now you only have 3 folders instead of 500. And also, you're going to do much better exposures. And exposures are going to pinpoint that core fear or feeling, and you're going to learn how to handle the discomfort that that core fear is bringing you. I hope that's helpful. I hope that you do that and figure out some of your core fears or core feelings. Feel free to share them below. That can help other people see all the different flavors of ice cream we've got going on with anxiety and OCD. And it'll also help show you that you are not alone. All right, well, I hope that you find the sparkle in everything you do, and I'll talk to you again next Thursday. Take care.